Hello and welcome to Journey Lines, the podcast answering the question, how did they get there? I'm your host, Kim Minnick. Every episode, I invite a guest to walk me through a creative exercise where they plot the highs and lows of their career against a line of neutrality. Together, we go through the ups, downs, and everything in between. My guest today, Tara Turk-Haynes. Tara, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm excited.
I'm so excited to hear your story. So excited to learn all about you. But before we dive in, I like to eat dessert first. So give us a heads up. What's going on with you today? Tell me about your life now.
Today I got to play around with Notion. I channeled my inner Kim and built out a project that I thought about yesterday that will help leaders be better at telling their story so they can be better leaders and better impactful leaders, and using some of my creative background, my creative writing, playwriting, to kind of just merge my corporate day life to what I do all the time, which has been this theme for the past year. I've just been finally able to put everything together, which has been very exciting and daunting.
It's like a confluence of your life. It is daunting when you bring things together.
Really is.
It feels so different at first. And then once you get in that groove, it starts to feel so well.
Because you need to know that I'm the type of person who has different friend groups, and I do not bring them all together for fear that they will never have a good time together. And so I don't have birthday parties. I have individual birthday dinners. I just don't like bringing people together because I don't like spending time thinking about whether or not they like each other. And so this is very stressful for me.
That was going to be my first ask, is birthday parties. How many birthday parties do you have? Is it several?
I've had one as an adult, and I worried the whole time whether or not everyone was kind of getting along and whatever. And I didn't, and I was like, I don't want to spend my life this way. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
No, it just means you get so many different dinners and you get to do this and that.
Exactly.
Nope.
I'm totally fine. I mean, they can run, we can have casual, but a purposeful, everybody in my life getting together, no.
So funny. I'm kind of into it, to be honest. The stress of bringing everyone together, it's tough. Amazing. Well, let's just dive into your journey line. I'm so excited about it. Kick us off. Where are we in time and space as you graduated with debt?
So I'm first generation college graduate, and I think you and I have talked about this before. It was just I don't come from a family who came from a lot of money at all. And the way that my parents viewed education was basically the more expensive, the better it is. It didn't matter. They were just you got into that school, that's amazing. How much is it? It's a great, I got into the new school, Eugene Lang, and it was one of probably the second highest in terms of tuition. They're going through a lot of changes right now, but it was the university in exile. And I was very excited about studying someplace that was really centered on humanity and also in New York City. And it was really expensive. And I had loans and I got scholarships too, but my parents were well, it must be good. It costs a fortune. So go. And I was great. And my and the way that it was situated is I took out the loans. My parents couldn't even qualify for some of the loans, so it was all me. And continued that with Sarah Lawrence, again, one of the most expensive schools in the country. I went there for graduate school. My parents were it's a great school. Great.
It costs so much money.
Go. And I just graduated with so much debt, but I didn't, at the time I was just but I need all of this. And so this is a sacrifice I kind of have to figure out and just hope the universe will provide at some point. But, yeah, it was really stressful, but I also felt okay, now I'm armed with things that will help me. Don't ask me how a theater degree was going to help me, but I felt like it was going to. And so here we are. That's how it all happens.
I mean, I went to a state school and was man, I don't know if this hospitality management degree is worth it. I feel a little scammed.
Listen, there's not a year that goes by where I'm why didn't I just transfer to Hunter College midway through? That was I was a resident at New York at that point, and I was you just save so much money. And it was such a great school. But you know what? The the universe gives you what you have. So like that's
You
fine.
know,
You know,
you walk the path you're supposed to. You spend the money when you're young. So you graduated with a degree in theater. Was that your graduate degree too? Undergrad and graduate?
Eugene Lang is a very eclectic school. So it was my bachelor degree was in you could create your own major and minor at Eugene Lang, which I thought was really interesting. So for me, mine was sort of like social, creative history. Kind of I merged a lot of those things together. So it's essentially a liberal arts degree, but it was all of those things combined. So I studied a lot about history, about creative writing, and also just like the social impact of all those things. It was great. I loved every minute of it. And it was a seminar college, so there were only like 12 students in each class. So I just really felt like I'm getting this. Like this didn't feel like a lecture hall where I just kind of got lost in the sauce. So then I went to Sarah Lawrence, equally another sort of smaller class institution, because I got in for a theater degree, and I really wanted to go there because they treat your theater degree as if you are in a theater company. So we were not siloed. A lot of theater degrees where it's like if you're getting writing, you never meet the directors until you do something together. Whereas like we were all thrown into all the classes together. Some directors had to write. I had to act in order to graduate, which was terrifying. I directed
Oh,
and
I bet you're a
produced.
great actress.
Oh my gosh. It, I was terrified. I have a great memory because it was like the first time my dad saw me on stage before he passed away. He was just like, how did you do that? Like, how did you memorize your lines? How did you make people, he was like, it was like so weird. Like he was like, how are you somebody else? It was so like wild. And it wasn't even like, I'm not an actress at all, but I had to do it to graduate, and he was really enjoyed it. And it was a friend of mine's play. And she actually recently passed away a couple of years ago. So I was sharing this memory. So all of that was like fortuitous. It was all just like for a purpose. And, you know, thinking about that now, I couldn't have even curated that myself. So I always wanted to do something that was a bunch of different things, things for undergrad, a bunch of different things for grad. And then I don't know, when I graduated, and I was like, now what?
Now what? I'm in debt.
Now that I'm in debt with all this knowledge.
And I mean, theater famously, not well paid. Not.
Pays so much. Right. So I had to get like a little Well, actually, my first job was fundraising when I got out of Sarah Lawrence for a theater company, which I joke that I actually feel like I paid to work there because it was so low. It was just like
just surviving.
My salary was so low. I was like, I think I'm just going in the red every time I go to work. Like, I don't even know how this is working out.
It is not worth my time, but it's enjoyable.
I really love this. But it taught me a lot about gratitude. Fundraising and for nonprofit is a lot about systems set up for gratitude. Like when people give money, especially where I was working, it was a nonprofit Black theater. They don't get a lot of money. The money that they get are people who just don't have it to give, but they know culture and arts are really important. So we're talking like women in the church. We're talking, they're giving their like $50, and if you don't thank those people, you're breaking down the community. So it did teach me a lot about like how important gratitude is when we talk about systems and workplaces. You know what I mean? Like it really did help me learn a lot, even though had the pores. So.
And was this at Crossroads or was that another place?
Is at Crossroads.
Okay.
Yep.
Amazing. Don't you find that like, just as you were saying, people who maybe didn't have all the means in the world or all the wealth in the world, they're the most generous?
Oh my gosh. And just to capitalize on that, I have memories of like, there was a woman, Geraldine Boone. I'll never forget her. She was in charge of the, she was on the board, but she was in charge of anytime we did like a board dinner where we had to raise money. And it was like she rallied all the church ladies together. Like a Geraldine, like we had no money and she would put a dinner together that looked like we ran the Grammys. I don't know how she did it every single quarter, but I would look around and be like, how did this happen? This looks like we should have a red carpet. It was just amazing to me, and it just proved that you can do anything with the resources that you have. And like if you love it, it'll always come out. Like that love will come out no matter what. Because Geraldine Boone believed in the Crossroads Theater Company, and I just that stuck with me forever.
Way to go, Geraldine.
Yes,
Man.
girl, I loved her.
So how long were you at Crossroads? Like, what did you learn there outside of gratitude? Like, how did that set you up?
I learned how to do grants. So I was, I researched grant writing. I learned a lot about community. It was like the first time I worked in a predominantly Black environment. So I saw people that looked like me all the time, and we collaborated and we shared stories, and it felt very safe because we all were linked culturally in some ways, even though we were from all different parts. Like, there's Caribbean Black people, and but nonetheless, it just felt very like collaborative, and we didn't have to like be careful of like what we said. And that was great for an early career thing for me. Because I could not continue to pay to work there, I had to leave. It was like, my gosh. I left probably like 8 months in and got like a job at, I became a second executive assistant to the CEO of Penguin Putnam at the time, which was the first assistant who I'm still friends with to this day, Eve Berhenny. Oh my gosh. I don't know why she took a chance on me in this like barely any experience, but she was fantastic. We still talk like daily, but it was hard, like working for a CEO that was particular.
I mean, so particular. They need 2 assistants? Was there a third?
That was the thing, is just like, he went on to, the CEO went on to, I don't want to say his name, but he went on to run Sony Studios. And so like, if you think about like your typical studio head, like that's just the personality and the background of privilege and, just like only understanding your own lived experience and sometimes being very mean to people, but knowing when to be nice, like all very calculated. And also taught me a lot about like how other people live, because there was just like no way I would ever know like how rich people live had I not gotten that job. I'm like, you have a whole brownstone on, in the Upper West Side. Like I just had never like met anyone who had like, you're arranging helicopters. Like once I got into being an executive assistant, you got to see another life of people who just like have access, and you're arranging that access, which is quite fascinating.
What a wild difference from Crossroads Theater, where it's a safe community. I imagine there's a lot of similarities in, economics and background and culture. And then you're organizing helicopter rides for somebody who's living in a brownstone in Upper West Side.
Patching like Fortune 500 CEOs into your boss, like when they call, like you're literally just like the people that you just like read about. You're like, oh, and you're talking to them. And it just is a wild sort of, it was very abrupt. Luckily, Eve is the type of person who's very down to earth, is unbothered by that, can understand protocol, but also doesn't live by protocol. She's like one of the most authentic, supportive people I know. And I don't know how she like navigated that world before she got there. Like before because she's older than me, and I'm just like, I don't know how you've done this all these years, but maybe because she just like at the end of the day went home to her family and was like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like she didn't live her job. She did her job.
Yeah. And like Fortune 500 CEOs, they're just people. They probably put their pants on one leg at a time. They sleep in a bed, you know?
He has some intimidating voices sometimes, let me tell you, because you're like, why does he sound so intimidating?
Why are you yelling?
Is your voice really that deep? Like, why? Is this Oz? Like, who is calling here?
Oh my gosh, just man behind the curtain, like, voice of God.
Oh my God. And it's like, no big deal, you know? Oh, it's no big deal, you know?
It's fine.
Yeah, it taught me a lot. And that was my path on becoming like administrative assistant while I just kind of tried to do my plays and stuff, you know, which was really hard too. Yeah.
Funding your own arts, being your own fundraiser.
Just like trudging along and trying to get your plays done and having readings and all of that stuff. It cost money and so did life. And so it was just, you know, but I had endless energy back then. So I don't know how that worked out because I literally think about that right now and I get tired.
Youth. The gift of youth.
Youth.
Something you said about Eve, and I'm curious how it. I am the person who lived my job for a very long time, and it was hard to like separate life and work. I'm curious, like you seeing that so early in your career, did it change how you approach the
No.
rest of your career? No.
No, not at all. No, because I don't know. I mean, I wish it had been contagious. I was very admirous of how she approached it, but like I would get nervous, you know, like arranging like a call in the middle of the night. Like I think it's because my particular kind of anxiety. I was always thinking about what could go wrong. I don't think she's like that though. She is not like she might be very sarcastic and funny about it, but she's not like that. And I obsessed over what could go wrong. And she could shirk it off really easily. And I did not know how to do that or have the tools to do that. So it made me a very anxious, but it worked out for whoever I worked for because then I would become obsessive over details and, you know, like always trying to be responsible, get everything done and all of that other stuff. Just like, you know, I would just be stressed out all the time.
Eve, if you're listening, teach me your ways because like I'm very much like you. Like I'm going to obsess over what could go wrong. Like I'm having that level of anxiety feels normal to me.
She's going to hear this and laugh because I don't know if she knows that she's like that, but she really is just like this kind of person that's just like, well, it's got to get done. Let's just go ahead and do it. And you're like, how are you so calm? Oh, God. Because she's still working like now. Like she just has a different approach. I think she learned to balance out what's important in life much earlier than I did. So my lesson was further along.
And so, okay, so how long did you stay as a second EA? You said it kicked off your career, but like organizing helicopter rides.
Right. I followed him from Penguin to early stage AOL, which was a whole other phenomenon.
Wild.
It was wild. Early stage AOL. And then finally, I just was like, I don't want to be a second EA anymore. I don't know if I want to work for him forever. Like that's not a career thing. So I ended up getting a EA job at Sundance Channel, which I loved.
Cool.
It was, you know, in the finance department, but I still got to be around, you know, creative filmmakers and programming. And yeah, it was just like, you know, this when Sundance Channel was for independent film and not like right now, I think it's a safe space for Law and Order reruns. But back then you could see like independent film all the time. And it was great. It was a great.
Okay, before we dive into Sundance Channel, because I do want to hear more about, Chum Chums, Law and Orders.
Yeah.
Something really exciting happened. You got your Van Leer playwriting commission.
Yes. Yeah. It was competitive in New York Theater Workshop. It was I'm still best friends with one of my fellowship people to this day, Vasanti Saxena, but there were 4 of us and we got paid to write a play for the year. That was the first time I ever got paid to do what I love. And we met quarterly, and then we spent a week at Vassar with like Juilliard graduates to do like on-site create a play, and then we would put it on, and then everyone would come enjoy it. And it was great because, I got to be friends with Tracy Toms, who was in Rent, and Anthony Mackie, who is now a Marvel star, and all of these incredible early career people. We were all just like theater kids, and let's whatever, and and it was, and I'm proud because I had to advocate for that, though. I mean, I was at a workshop and talking about how I produced my own play, instead of waiting for someone to do it. And I think there was somebody from New York Theater Workshop in the audience who asked me to apply when they heard that. So then I applied and I got it, and it was incredible. So yeah, it allowed me to realize I could have a day job and be creative at the same time.
So you were doing this, I mean, I can kind of tell by how it's bookended, but you were doing this while working full time.
Yes, I've always done that. I've always been a playwright and worked full time.
How do you find that balance?
I feel like it's good to compartmentalize sometimes, right? So sometimes it's really good to not think about your job and then to think about creating a whole new world. And that's really fun, and you can escape into that. They've never crossed really before. It's not like I've ever been like, oh gosh, I can't work today because I have to write my play. I've just been very methodical at approaching. I'm not one of those oh, I'm such an artist, I have these eclectic, demands in terms of how I need to write. I'm just if I have some time, I'm just gonna sit down for a couple of hours and boop, 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 and knock it out and just really kind of think about it. And it allows me to have different worlds and different brains to use. And I've always done that. And I've been proud of that just because I didn't stop playwriting ever. I never stopped.
Yeah. That's amazing. I think having that creativity in life, whether it's playwriting or arts or dance or whatever it might be, gives you the space to perform better in your professional life.
I think so too. And I think it's a real tragedy when people tell you have to choose. Some people are just oh, you have to choose. You can't whatever. Because I also don't subscribe to being a starving artist, right? So I was never going to be my parents knew. I was I'm keeping a job because I need benefits, and it doesn't make I can't be unhoused and trying to write a play. So that doesn't work for me, right?
And I went to this expensive ass college.
Right. No one wins if you can't afford to take care of yourself, and it's not cheating or whatever if you get a day job. I think your brain allows you to have many different loves and many different ways to explore how you exist in the world. And this just happens to be a couple of different avenues that work for me, that come together. And it makes me happy. So yeah.
I feel like there's a Greek tragedy waiting to be written about overcommitting to job and losing creativity.
Oh my gosh. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that I've been fiercely protective of each. Does that make sense?
It does.
I don't think I would ever take a job that would drain me of creativity. And I also don't think I would take an artistic job that wouldn't allow me to kind of figure out how I can use my operational skills in a way that's really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's, again, finding that balance. Sounds like you're striking it quite well. Okay, so back to Sundance Channel, life before. I mean, I feel like this is before it was a safe space for Law and Order reruns.
Right.
What an interesting overlap of creativity and work. And you said you were in finance there?
So I was the executive assistant to the chief financial officer, Robbie Sussman, who it was like a child at heart. Even though he was finance and there was another his direct report, Stuart Benson, who I still love to this day, just very numbers people, but then kids at heart. So they were fun to work with. I got to go to Sundance Film Festival a couple of years because they would fly some of us in to help work the satellite office. I have fond memories of, just talking to Philip Seymour Hoffman on the phone once. I was manning the phones, and everyone had left to go to the awards gala. So it was just me, and the phone rang, and it was him. And he was like, asking to speak to, somebody. He was like, I just want to read my speech. And I was like, they all left. And he was like, will you listen? And I was like, yes.
Absolutely.
And he read it and I was like, that sounds great. He goes, okay, thanks so much. I really appreciate you. And then he hung up and I was like, did I just talk to Philip Seymour? I mean, I got to go see films, like I got to see 28 Days Later before anybody knew what it was. And I was like scared out of my mind seeing it in the middle of Park City, Utah at night. And I was like, wait a minute, this was not a great idea. I don't like this at all. Nope,
Too scary.
Nope. Too scary. But like you get to see, I have a friend, Dream Hampton, who was part of my like creative life in New York. Her first film was at Sundance and I got to see it. And there were a lot of friends, who were there and some who couldn't be there. And I was like, my day job brought me here so I could see it, so it was a great opportunity. And, I got to meet Bob Redford, while he was running half of it. It was a great time. It was a great, space to be in and be able to still feel like you're contributing somehow creatively.
Yeah. And I imagine probably a lot more respect from your coworkers and colleagues of hey, I have this creative side to me. I sit down, I write,
Absolutely. I got to review short films for the short films showcase that they used to do. So I would volunteer to watch films and advocate for them sometimes. We could all do that. It was just such a collaborative space where no matter what your job title was, you could have an opinion on something that was related to independent film. And it was great.
Did you find more folks like you, very creative, forward, were more attracted to this sort of company? I imagine it's a different environment than Penguin Putnam.
It was half and half. It was so interesting because there were a couple of different actors. There were some filmmakers there who could produce content, but they weren't making their own films there, obviously. But there were people this was their career, which was interesting. And I'm not a career EA. I'm just trying, you know what I mean? But there were people who, went on to be studio executives at Netflix. It just is very interesting space to be in at that time where you could have independent film as a channel, right? Just incredible. It was just such an incredible memory. And I'm so grateful that I worked there.
So you've been riding high, you've got your playwriting commission, you moved to Sundance Channel, and then we take a steep fall. You moved to LA for the first time, which you're still in LA now, right?
Yeah, this is my second time going back since then. But yeah.
Let's literally dive in. Tell me all about it. Why?
I think I had lived in New York and I loved New York so much. And I just felt after 9/11 and then after the brownout of 2002 at that time, I think I was just I need a break from New York. And I was like, you know what? And if I hate it, I could, LA, I can always come back. But I had been traveling here, visiting with a friend off and on. We would go for the weekends. It's just hey, let's be in LA. And, visiting LA is massively different from living here. So when you're visiting, you're like, oh my gosh, palm trees and, I'm going to rent the convertible and we're going to eat at the fun restaurants. But when you live here, for me, it's a little bit different where it's okay, Groundhog Day, every day looks the same and it's very segregated. And I tell people it takes you 3 years to kind of find your tribe and your vibe here. It's a rough 3 years for a lot of people just because it's such a massive city and there's so many different kinds of places you can hang out and it's hard to find what your groove is. And it can be daunting for people. It can really be daunting for people.
Did you move there by yourself? Did you move there with a friend or was it?
I moved there. Yeah, I moved here with a friend. And then I ended up getting a boyfriend and then I moved in with him. And yeah, so it was just called the foggy years. I don't know, where I just shouldn't have been with that person. Maybe, I don't know. It's just terrible. But we got engaged and then we weren't. That's a whole other story. But yeah, I was here but I was miserable the whole time. I was just I don't like it here. I just don't. I don't find it to be easily navigatable. I don't feel like in New York for me, it felt like if I wanted to do something creative, I could pull people together and we could do something within a couple of weeks. Everyone here is just like, sure, how far is the drive? Where's it going to be? And just like, I don't know. It just was very challenging for me to go from such a community-based New York City vibe to a very sort of whimsical Los Angeles vibe. It's very different.
And New York is so much more compact than LA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like now I need a car. Oh, now I need car insurance. Oh, great. Now I need you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to think about any of that stuff in New York. I'm like, I'm hopping on the train and I'm getting there in 20 minutes. I like that flexibility a lot. And I was just like, maybe, I don't know if this is the city for you. Like, I just kept having that conversation with myself.
I mean, fair. How long did you stay in LA for the first time?
So I was there for 3 years. Unfortunately, my dad had passed away while I lived here the first time. And it caused me to have like this major sort of conversation with myself of like, if you are not in a space that makes you happy, now that your dad is not here, like, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, I'm going to leave LA. And thereby that, I was like, I'm going back to New York. I know New York makes me happy. I'm going back there. The job that I had was with Ticketmaster, and I got transferred from LA to New York. And it was random. My old apartment became available in New York. Like, it felt like it was all meant to be. I called my landlord. I was like, do you have anything? And he was like, that's so weird. Your apartment is available as of tomorrow. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's meant
the
to
best
be.
homecoming. Like, I'm literally coming home.
I'm coming back home. And my relationship with that person ended. Like, it just was like a shift where I almost felt like I needed to go back to New York. And, I met my now husband. I got to like run the New York City streets and just like be comfortable again and see plays and feel creative and part of a community and fall in love and all of those different things where I was just like, oh my gosh, this fed me so much. And then I got an opportunity to move back here. They were like, we'll relocate you.
Well, how long? So you moved back to New York. You met your now husband.
Yeah.
Delightful.
I was only there a year. Like, all of this happened in a year where it's just like, this broke, he broke up, did that, new job, but, you fell in love, you got a new, but. And then and this is when I talk about this a lot when I'm on panels is, the chief people officer of Ticketmaster at that time, Beverly Carmichael. I used to be her EA when I was in LA. And then I moved to New York and I had a whole other job. And then when I was in New York, she was just like, I feel like you'd be really good at talent acquisition and I will move you back to LA if you're interested. And I talked to my now husband and I was just, he'd never left New York. And I was like, they're willing to move us to LA. And he's like, let's go. And I was like, are you serious? Like, we just got into it. We literally were just like probably 4 months in. And I was like, really? Like, and he's like, yeah,
you're like, LA sucks. Do you know that LA sucks?
I love it. And he was like, yeah, but it's good to like, you just see what it's like now. If we hate it, you can always come back. And I think what I learned was that it sucked for me because I didn't establish where home was. And because when I came back, I realized, oh, it doesn't suck because I'm with the person that I love. Like, wherever we move, I'm going to have a good time because he's here. We're partners. So it's like what I made it, right? I was miserable because of money reasons. I can't blame all of that on Los Angeles because obviously I'm still here. But it didn't matter so much the where anymore. It really didn't. It was like where I was, my life and my career and like doing new things and like just being able to like, going into talent acquisition it's just a huge thing for me. I was like, this is really what's important because before when I first moved here the first time, I experienced so much like bias and microaggressions trying to get jobs temping because I had dreadlocks and I didn't look like your typical like moved here from Iowa, like person.
Yeah, like trying to get a career as an actress. I think we all have a general picture in our mind.
Yeah, and there was a lot of bias and racism in the agencies at that particular time. And so I did not have a great time, um, interviewing. And I always felt like I could fix this. I know I could fix this if I ever got a chance. And so Beverly gave me that chance to do it. And I felt like that's what catapulted me into where I am now.
And what a while. I think moving somewhere with a job and
Yeah.
having that financial security is a very different experience than moving somewhere and
100%.
having to find a job.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh. Exactly. And like, that's when you do it when you're young, for sure. Like, I did it when I was young. I moved here, the first time, and like, I was just like, why not? Blah, blah, blah. I can fix it all later. And now I don't, I'm like, oh no, I don't think I could ever do that. Like, how much are groceries? I have like the old person questions now. Like,
Yeah. What's the cost of gas?
what did you say the sales tax was?
Tell me about your taxes, please.
What's it equivalent to? Like, cost of living is really important right now.
Okay, so you moved back to LA with then boyfriend of 4 months, which
Yep.
feels like a quick, large commitment. Love it.
I know. I
It's
know. It's great. It's great. It worked out. Look.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one moved back to New York. Awesome. And you get into talent acquisition. You get into recruiting
Yep.
with Ticketmaster?
Yeah. Loved it. Corporate. I learned a lot. And then Beverly was kind of right. Like, I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy putting together interviews. There was one I got rec where I had to hire like an executive assistant, and I was like, who better but me? I know what to ask, right? Like, I know what's really important. And it was great, and things were going well until Live Nation decided to swallow us up. And I got laid off. Yeah, Live Nation was like, we'll swallow the shark, even though we're a little goldfish. And, that caused massive layoffs. And I was like, okay, great. Well, what am I going to do? And Scott, wasn't my husband at the time, but he was just like, take some time to write. And I was like, what? How do you do that?
We already talked about that. Money.
What do you mean, take some time to write? I'm like, what does that look like? He's like, I have a job. You don't need to work. And I was like, I don't understand what language you're speaking right now. I've never not had a job. I don't even understand what you're saying. And then as soon as I decided, like, maybe I will do that, I had a friend who worked at Variety at the time, and he was like, they have an editorial position open if you're interested. It was like project management, coordinating stuff for their editorial department. And I was like, Variety magazine? Of course. Like, I don't know. And I loved it. Like, there were a bunch of people who worked there for like 30 years. Like, how often do you go to a media company and people have been there most of their career? Like, that is
Never.
unheard. These are people who are just like, I remember when, and you're like back, like, like things that you like remember as a kid, they were like working at Variety. And I'm like, that's so wild to me. Like, it was
Incredible.
wild. Yeah. I loved it.
How long were you doing that for?
I did that for 3 years. I got to do some writing. I pride myself on this, but I got Ava DuVernay in the first Power of Women issue before she was actually a famous filmmaker. I pitched her to the editorial team. They were like, she was not on their radar, and I was like, well, there's my friend Tracy was in a film of hers, and I saw it, and I was like, there's this filmmaker, Ava DuVernay, and they're like, who's she? And they knew her as a publicist, not as a filmmaker, and I was like, I think she would be great. So she got in, and then, I'm not responsible for her career, but I did mention her in a room where she wasn't in, and I feel like that was important, and I tried to do that often. I worked on a Rizzoli book that they had, which was Variety, the world through Variety headlines. So with lots of writes and talking to like famous old like executives from, way back when, like, can we use your likeness, and them sharing their stories. And that book was like incredible to work on. Again, though, the the mergers, and it got acquired by Penske Media, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go, because like Penske was really young, upstart, trying to like change things, and I was like, I just don't want to be around to see some of these people who've been here for like 30 years like lose their job. I knew what was coming. Like, there's
Yeah.
always layoffs when something like that happens. I didn't know if I wanted to stay around to see that change or transition. Exactly when that happened, my old boss, who was a former CEO of Ticketmaster, was a chairman of this little startup, tech startup, like complete different. He's like, they're great guys. They just absolutely don't know how to do the stuff that makes a company run on a day-to-day basis. Can you go over there? Like, they just don't know. They're
They're
just like
visionaries. They're not operators.
like they're buying like new employees their like laptops at the Apple store. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, yeah, let's just go get a new computer. If somebody started tomorrow, I'll just go buy you a MacBook at the Apple store, or like, oh, benefits, right? I mean, we'll just pay for them, right? Like, just how do you, like these guys, what do you mean? No one should pay for them. Like, it was just very like they operated with the generosity of spirit rather than like having a strategic plan on the business side of things. And I got to help them for a few years, and eventually became like their kind of head of people. And then again, we get acquired by Cisco, which I was like, I mean, that's a good thing, at least, because startups can either you get
Yeah.
acquired, you go public, or you go under, right? And so like we weren't going public. Like,
You got to exit one way, and there's like three doors. There's
there's
the
3 doors.
acquisition, you
Yes,
flounder, or you go public. Like there's your
exactly.
options.
Exactly. And like while that was a great blessing, and so many of them still work at Cisco to this day, for me, Cisco was just entirely too large to feel like I was doing anything. Like, how do you have a head of people at a startup and now it's part of Cisco? It's like they already have their own head of people at Cisco. They don't need me. Like, what,
They have a
like
massive HR department.
completely don't need me at all. So I stayed on for the transition. That also, my former CEO at Ticketmaster had now got a new job at this company called Demand Media, which turned into Leaf Group. And he was just like, yeah, the talent acquisition needs help here, because they owned multiple brands, and it was corporate, and it was a mid-sized public company. And there was just a lot of like, hey, we just like to like interview our own people, and we just throw up our own job description, on our e-commerce page, or, and it was just like, it was all over the place. And so that's really, I think, where I like got to grow up as a TA leader. Like, how do I create this harmony? How do I get everybody on board? How do I have a point of view? How do I become strategic? How do I use data to tell a story? How do I pitch, to people who don't know anything about like why talent acquisition is really kind of important? They just know they needed a role filled, right? Like, so it was really great. And I had a great leader, Jill Angel, who's I'm friends with to this day, who was a chief people officer, was always behind me and like encouraging me to go further and just have a bigger voice. And so it, I got to play a lot and I like fail. And you know what I mean? It was just like a great time for 7 years to be in there and just trying to do different things and really build a strong company. And then, eventually get my first VP title there.
7 years is a long time to be somewhere.
I know, but it went by so quickly. And also like COVID. So like, the foggy years of COVID, like, I'm at home and like we're at home and, I get promoted to doing DE&I and talent. And then, and then the burnout starts, right? Because I overly care so much and I work entirely too hard. And because now it feels like talent acquisition plus DE&I are very critical, like to the business and to people's lives. Like, I just took it very seriously on like how the impact of people's lives, what those two departments were. And I got stressed out all the time. And it was just like, yeah. Just
You
like
start
not.
carrying so much weight on your shoulders and it's hard to, yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's heart palpitations and not sleeping and taking things very seriously and just like sometimes feeling like you're not heard. when it comes to advocating for employees and people just like, I think that time just allowed people's lived experiences to just like have a spotlight on them. And if you didn't have one that was very inclusive, it showed. And if you had, if your life was pretty limited or if your life was really full, all of that showed how you dealt with people in a remote setting, right? Like all your preconceived notions, right? Like you could not hide like how you were as a worker or a leader during that time. And I think a lot of that just got exasperated.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
again, fuzzy years, but I do remember like spotlights became pretty heavy on leaders, what was
Mhm.
expected of them,
Yep.
how they handled crises, how they handled,
There were so
uh,
many.
there were so many. Like,
Roe v. Wade and like, the first Trump administration. And I mean, I'm just like, it just felt like it was one after another just coming at people and just like PPP loans and, influx of buying and then all of that being, going the other way and just like the great resignation and like, all of that was just like, whew, gosh, this is too
the
much. Need a moment.
the pendulum swung so far, so quickly, and it was a foggy years. So what'd you do
Yeah.
after that?
Probably had a breakdown. I don't know. So Um, again, another sort of business decision. Leaf Group had been acquired by Graham Holdings, which was the former parent company to Washington Post. So I loved like Graham Holdings because and we're talking Catherine Graham, who I think is like was a rock star, like completely just, you know, uh, how she's feeling right now. Is a whole other thing because she's not with us anymore. I'm sure she's like, I'm gonna haunt everyone, but at the time, like, it's a family run business and they acquired Leaf Group. I don't think that they really understood like what they were buying or if they cared about it. And they were like, why do we have a parent company when we're a parent company? So they folded Leaf Group and they took all of our brands and rolled them up to them. So I was out of a job. Laying myself off was really fun. I tell people this like all the time, like we were part of the HR team, but we're just like, so you're gonna have to lay you off. I'm just like talking to myself or talking to another team member. We already knew, but like it just is a
You're like
weird feeling.
drafting your own severance agreement. I think that's if you're a head of people or a senior leader in HR, you have likely done this and you're writing your own severance agreement and you're like, okay, I guess I'll sign it. Great. I guess I'm done here.
Okay, I just turned my stuff in, not to me. I don't know.
Yeah, what do I do with this pile of other people's laptops that's sitting in the corner? I'm gonna keep them.
Right. It was hard because I wanted to have a job that was equally impactful, and the jobs just were not out there for a senior talent person. And I don't think we've really recovered since then. That was like 2.5 years ago at that point. So I started my own company because I had some people who were like, hey, can you teach us how to do this? Can you do some fractional recruiting? So that's kind of sustained me. And I think I was just like you forced into
You put forced fractional, and that is, girl, that's my joke. I joke that I was forced fractional.
I know. I kept it because I think it's true.
Like laid off, and you're like, well, what else? No one's hiring me right now. Like,
What am I
I'm
supposed
not
to
going
do?
back into an office 5 days a week. Like, well, I guess I'll just do this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's been 2.5 years of learning. Like I don't come from a family who's owned a company before. Like I don't. I'm winging it as I go. Like literally just being like, okay, well, let's ideate today. Let's try to do some biz dev today. I mean, I have a great, community of people that you belong to as well. You know what I mean? Like that we could just like lean on each other and ask questions. But I just feel like I'm in such new territory. And I'm still deciding if it's like for me, right? Like I still think I would love to go back in-house and really transform a TA team. And I do have conversations off and on about that. But like, yeah, I haven't decided if this is like what I want to do forever. I don't know. I'll know.
But it's what you're doing right now, and
Right. And I love
look,
what I do right now.
yeah, and I think that's one of the great freedoms that this life offers is sure, I can keep doing this work. I'm building a business. It's sustainable.
Yep.
But I can always, just like you can always go back to New York, I can go back in house.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of this is like, you didn't stand still, right? Like you didn't just like, I don't know, and just get paralyzed with indecision. We all like made a decision and just stepped foot and just said, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do the things that I really like to do. Like there's so many clients that I have right now that I would have never met had I just been in-house. I'm learning so much from like, wedding professionals. Like there's one of my favorite clients is like a whole group of wedding professionals. And I learned so much from them. And I've met so many different people because of them. And like, how would that have been my life had I, been in-house before? So like all of this is for a reason. And all of this also allows me to access a new community of friends that I can go to and be like, sorry, Kim, I don't understand Notion. Like, what?
But as discussed, keep all those friends separate. Like, why meld them together?
They're not all merging, by the way. Like, there will not be a big party. So don't worry about it.
One day there will be a big party and you will be horrified.
I'm going to be horrified. I will walk out. I walk out. I'm going home.
So what's next? The line is creeping up. We're going forward. What does your future look like?
I don't know, but I'm excited about it. I mean, I'm in a radical delusional phase where I'm just like, sure, that can happen. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Like, I'm over here just like manifesting things. So I just leave the door open and just try to have as many like workshops and ideas for people who are really trying to strengthen their business from an equitable standpoint and have it ready for them when they need it. Like, I just want to help people be better at work and like just have a better experience and be able to like show up without, all of the isms and all of the like anxieties that like, sometimes your social identities can bring because of systemic anything, right? I just want people to be like more aware of who they're working next to. And then maybe they just collaborate better.
I wonder what you just described feels like recalling to your time at Crossroads Theater Company. Like if you could make every business like Crossroads, what a delight.
If I could do that, like honestly, it just would be incredible because you can come and have all the psychological safety and just explore and just be great at ideating and collaborating without the worry or the stress of someone, othering you. Like, it just would be incredible. It would be so great. And I live for that day. I really do.
Is there anything, I think we've come to the end of your journey line with so much more to follow that hasn't been written yet, but anything we didn't talk about that we should have talked about?
No, I just feel like this was cathartic. I'm sorry. I just feel like,
great.
Here I am over here just like so myopic in my journey. I'm only thinking about like pieces, and to be able to talk through the journey line with you with your great questions allows you to go, wow, just I've had a life, haven't I? Look at that.
You had a life, but like such a common thread through it. Creativity, building inclusion, building teams, collaborating with folks from your playwriting commission to finding community in LA. Like, there's a lot of echoes of every point,
I know. See, when you talk about it out loud, it actually feels like it was all purposeful and there was a plan.
No, that's never true.
My future, right? Like, kind of thinking about like, because right now things can be super scary and we don't know what's coming next from many different avenues, but maybe we can just lean into the themes that have come in the past, and that's comfort for us. So I appreciate you saying that.
I appreciate you. And I'll link it all down in the comments, but where can folks find you, follow you, and engage with you?
My website is equityactivations.com. I am Turk-Haynes on most social platforms. I just deleted TikTok, so don't look for me there. Sorry, I can't. That was just a bridge too far. But it's Instagram and Threads, which is where I live now. I love Threads. I live there.
Great.
And LinkedIn, for the stuff you have to
for the business stuff.
For the business.
Tara, thank you so much for joining. We'll link all of your stuff down in the comments. I still have no idea how to end these episodes, so we'll see you next time.
Yes, the next part of the journey. Part 2.
The next journey. Ooh.
Thank you.